I imagine most people know the story, but there will be people who aren't aware of what happened. Do you mind just explaining just as simply as you can?
Yeah. I was in a final of an event in Jeffreys Bay, South Africa, and the final had just started. Julian Wilson, who I was competing against in the final, had just caught a wave, and I was just sitting there. And I sort of was like, all right, I might just move down the point a little bit. And so I went to go and just sit up on my board and start paddling. And I just heard a splash behind me. And I was like, oh, no. And next thing I know, I'm entangled with a shark. And, it's bumped me. I'm trying to put as it's gone through, it got stuck in my leg rope.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's thrashing, and I'm trying to put my board between me and the shark, and then all of a sudden I just get this whack from the tail straight to the head, and get thrown back, and then the next thing was, I guess if you watch the footage, the wave comes up at that point, and no one knew what was happening. But
9
terrifying.
seconds. 9 seconds where you didn't know.
Yeah,
Well,
felt
we
like
didn't know.
9 hours.
Yeah.
And the shark had actually circled back and had bumped me, and then the last thing I saw was my board on its fin, just drifting off.
Oh, like stuck on its
Yeah, and it was just drifting off, and I was just like, oh, it's on. And so I just started screaming and swimming, and then I was sort of like swimming in, and I was like, hang on, if this thing's going to come and eat me, if I just keep swimming away, it's,
Probably going to catch you.
yeah, it'll catch me and just eat me without a fight. It'd be easy. And so I thought in my brain, I was like, well, let's fight it. If we're going to go down, let's go.
Did your training kick in and you just spat on it?
Yeah. I remember, yeah.
Right in the
I was like, no, I know how to get someone bigger. No. So I was just trying to get myself as high as I possibly could, so I could see it coming. And
You genuinely thought, let's fight it.
yeah, well, if you're going to fight or flight mode. So
Wow.
Jeez.
So you kind of like kick yourself up as high as you
yeah,
can.
you just try, in water polo, and they can get themselves so high, you're trying to do that. And luckily it didn't come back. And, Julian was so courageous, and, I don't know what he was thinking. I was telling him to go in, but he kept coming towards me. And
That's amazing, that.
yeah, like the courage.
Yeah.
Like I always think about what would I do in that situation? Would I go or would I not? And
Sounds like you'd go.
I have
From
no
everything you've said
doubt.
today. Yeah.
You never know. I was having an off day. But yeah, like that courage that he showed was like next level.
Because I don't know what you actually, it's more like just emotional support, really. Like when you get out there, I guess you're giving the shark another option. That's all you're really doing.
Yeah, almost. Or you're just sort of confusing it or whatever. And
Yeah.
But, the sharks are powerful predators, and they know what they're doing, even before you see them. So,
So why do you think it didn't come back?
I don't think, like, from all the research that I've done, from all the different researchers that I've spoken to, I think it was just inquisitive. It was like, oh, what's this? I haven't seen this before. And it went to come and have a look at me, and then realized, like, last minute, oh, this isn't what I wanted to eat.
Yeah.
So it tried to pull out, but that's when it got caught in my leg rope. And so, yeah.
So if anything, I mean, it's kind of because I'm terrified of sharks, and it's a big part of why I like surfing. Terrifies me, the thought of going out there and knowing they could be there. But that, in a weird way, that kind of is comforting, knowing that it's actually not wanting to eat you. It's just checking you out.
Yeah. There's been other footage of them coming up and checking people out, and then last minute just taking off, and
But it's not what they want.
and the people in the water don't know. Like, it's the drones that have
wild.
caught it. Yeah. And so it happens a lot. But
I mean, the story I've heard is that you punched it.
I don't tell that part. It was just, to be honest, I was just like, when I was trying to get my board in there, I was just like
Swinging.
swinging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and then, you could take a moment back, media again.
Yeah.
It's like, I punched it. I was just so high on adrenaline.
Yeah.
Got to the beach and I'm just bawling my eyes out.
No, that's what interests me a lot. Was I watched it last night just before I went to sleep, which incidentally led to me dreaming about you for about 6 hours. But
What was I wearing?
Rip curl hoodie. Full rip curl. Right on brand.
No bets.
But that's the thing that struck me was someone grabbed you as you were walking out of the water for an interview, and they said, how did you fight it off? And you just gave that answer, and then it became this. The guy, it was sort of funny, and so I felt you were forced into playing this like, I'm an Aussie who fights sharks, which wasn't really the narrative that was. I mean, you knew you were nearly killed, you could have died, and then that was kind of the vibe of it was you were this like crazy Aussie who fights sharks, but really you then. For a while after that, you kind of struggled a bit. Is that right? Mental health? I
did, yeah. I guess, once I had time to reflect, like even like an hour after, like I was so high, like my adrenaline was through the roof. And, I got to get back to the contest site and I saw the footage and I saw it and I was like, whoa. Like I didn't think it was that big of a shark when I was in the moment. And then when I saw the size of it, I was just like, holy shit. And that's when it all sort of sunk in and I was like, oh no. And then I was doing okay and it's, emotion hit me and stuff like that. But then it wasn't until I ran into a friend of mine who's a wife of one of the surfers on tour. I saw her and she's she's a mother and I just broke down. Everything just collapsed. I almost fell down and that was like a big moment that I realized that shit, like that could have been it. And so, and then like the next day, we sort of had a party and it was almost like a going to your own wake. Like 1 minute everyone's laughing, next minute everyone's crying. It was actually a really fun party.
So the weight of it kind of dawned on everyone. By that stage,
yeah. But and then I sort of woke up the next day and I was sort of moving around and I just wanted to go and just check the space and then there's camera crews everywhere and I was just like, I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, whatever. And so I did one interview and then I realized I just saw all these camera crews coming. I was like, oh, I've got to go. I've got to catch a plane. And I sat on the plane and a woman's reading the paper next to me and she's like, how crazy is that? The kid almost got eaten by a shark in a surfing contest. And I looked over it and there I was on the front page of the paper. Whoa. And I was just like, yeah, it's pretty heavy. Looked out the window and just started crying. I was like, God, really? Yeah. And so it was sort of a hard one to sort of process and
how soon after it did you talk to your mum?
I spoke to my parents straight away.
Right,
Mum was watching live stream, so
my God, because she had 9 seconds where I think she said I thought he was gone. She said when the wave came up, I thought I'd never see him again.
Yeah, and so I spoke to her straight away, and then I rang my dad, woke my dad up in the middle. It was the middle of the night, and he goes, "Hey, how are you?" I'm good. Just letting you know, I almost got eaten by a shark. And he's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, okay, no.
Man, a few words.
Yeah. And then he woke up to the news in the morning. He's like, rings me back and goes, you didn't tell me it was that gnarly. I was like, I know, yeah, it was pretty wild. But yeah, it was sort of the weeks afterwards was the hardest. It would come back to me in dreams, and it was always anywhere from like 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And I'd wake up just kicking the sheets off or whatever, and at that time I hadn't really had anyone to talk to, and I was trying to figure out like who do I talk to, and spoke to my sports psych guy, spoke to different doctors, and it wasn't until I spoke to a friend who's in the military, and he had a similar thing with like a landmine, and blew the car up, and so yeah, he's like, look, the way you look at it is if you see those signs, it's going to bring up emotion and stuff like that. But just know it's almost like when you almost get hit by a car crossing the road. You've still got to get on with life and still keep moving. And so that's how I've sort of looked at it, as like it was an incident.
It doesn't mean anything. It's just a
Yeah, it was just something that happened, and I was very fortunate, and very lucky to get away with. But yeah, it shouldn't stop you from going surfing. And to be honest, like the first surf back, I was doing a piece for 60 minutes. They wanted to capture that first surf back, and they took me to a spot that was a bit secluded, and I had my mate on jet ski, and I'm paddling out, and it'd been raining, and we're right near a river, and I sort of was paddling out, and I just see this fin.
No.
Yeah, and I'm just like, hey, Bearsy, like, is that a fin? I'm like, let me just jump on the ski for a second. And we sat out. He's like, nah, you're tripping. You're just making shit up now. And I'm like, no, just wait. Sure enough, saw a little shark fin come through.
Oh my God.
And we were laughing. Like, it was like, I wasn't scared.
Yeah,
It was
different
just-
sense of humour to me.
Yeah. Yeah, we came in, and I'm like, hey guys, I'm not making this up, but there's a shark out there. So we might want to wrap this up and go and surf somewhere else. And
Go and surf somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or just call it quits for the next 10 years.
And then we found the most beautiful beach, no one around, crystal blue water, and felt totally fine.
Amazing.
Have you spoken to your mum about how she felt watching that footage, knowing that, she'd already lost a son and or in front of her very eyes, watching her son do the thing that he loves more than anything? Have you asked her about that? Or?
Yeah. I didn't have to ask her; she just tells me.
Okay.
But yeah, she expressed everything, and I know, like I lived with Mum through those tragedies, and so yeah, I knew we didn't have to really talk about it. It was just more, acknowledging it, and and she trusts me in what I do and the decisions I make. And so she was like, look, if you go back out, like you don't have to, but if you do go back out, then I trust you in what you do. And so it was just acknowledging her and acknowledging the family and but letting them know that I'm not going to do anything stupid on purpose, but just sort of just trust me in where I'm at. And,